Do you want to see my August produce haul? These are all the items that I got, and I'm going to walk you through all the tips I have for keeping these fresh longer and how much I spent. If you're just meeting me, my name is 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶, and this is the 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐄𝐄𝐓 Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. And I've been in the media all around the world teaching my produce tips and even had a TED Talk. So I am going to walk through all of these items and tell you how I can keep them fresh for weeks so I don't have to go back to the grocery store for a month. I normally go grocery shopping, I say once every 3 to 4 weeks. There is something in my brain that happens when I think that I can't go grocery shopping for an entire month, but normally that is the case. So exactly today, it has been 4 weeks since I went and got any groceries to bring into my home, either from the produce stand or from the grocery store. And we've been able to have fresh meals this entire time. We have a meals playlist where I show you how I use all these produce items throughout the month. So it's kind of funny, when I went and did my July produce haul, I said this might be the last time I get to go to one of my favorite produce stands here in the Seattle area, because we're actually getting ready to move away. And I didn't know exactly when that was going to happen. Well, our house is still for sale and we still haven't moved away yet, but we are hoping that's going to happen soon. We just don't really know. So I just went ahead and planned a whole month's worth of picking up produce and knowing that we will probably be here for at least another 30 days. Normally we do the grocery shopping here on a Monday, and the content team goes with me, and then we film it. But we actually went grocery shopping yesterday to do this produce haul. We went to Carbonado Brothers, which is near our grandma's house, and we were in the area doing something and I wanted to stop by. This is one of my favorite produce stands to go to, especially during the summertime when they normally have big cases of items when I'm doing large canning projects. And yesterday I was just getting some cucumbers to make some pickles. But something I did pick up a few of was some of the pickling cucumbers. I did get enough to make a quart-sized jar or 2 of them. I have a crunchy pickle recipe for refrigerator pickles that is super easy to make. We will make sure that we link that in the description. This is some of the basil that is left over after we just did 2 preservation methods that we filmed for YouTube. So that video is already up, but you can also store basil just in a glass of water like this. Make sure that it is not tap water that has chlorine in it. It needs to be filtered water. The tap water will not keep your plants alive. And I did make sure that I picked up some big heads of new crop garlic. So this garlic I know was just harvested. Sometimes when you're getting garlic towards the end of like June and July at the grocery store, it's actually a year old. I made sure to pick up a few heads of garlic, and then I'll probably get a bigger batch of those in a month or so when I know for sure when we're moving. And I did get some yellow onions. I like getting them when they have the peels on them. You can tell when they're getting dehydrated this way because you can listen to them as you pick them up. When they start getting dehydrated and sound a little crunchy, then you know that those are the ones that need to be used up next. But if you don't store onions next to potatoes, they will actually stay fresh harvest season to harvest season. So you want to make sure that you store those 3 feet away from each other. So I got some new yellow onions and then 1 red onion. I just have to pick this up because it is the biggest celery I think I've ever seen. Look how humongous this is. It is just ginormous. So this I am going to wash, and I'm going to keep the celery tops to make chicken stock. I'll put those in the freezer, and then I'm going to wash this and put the celery into glass, and it will stay crunchy for a month, which is kind of funny. This has been in the refrigerator since last night when we went to the produce stand, and look how wilted it already is. So just 1 day in the refrigerator, it can start getting wilty. You can put this in filtered water and it will crunch right back up. But after I wash this and put it in a glass container, it will be perfectly fine for a month. Zucchini that is this size and the skin is really thin where you can practically put your fingernail through it, this needs to be stored in your crisper drawer after washing. But if you're getting those leg-sized zucchinis that you're getting out of your garden or your friend is growing, those can actually go into your pantry and they will stay fresh for about 6 months. So those zucchini and the cucumbers can be stored in the same drawer. I got a couple cucumbers. Until I go to use them, I will keep them washed and in the crisper drawer. But as I go to use them, I will slice them up and put them in a glass jar with a metal lid and slice. They'll stay really crispy for about another week. We also like to have radishes on our salads, or I like to roast them. So I made sure that I got a bunch of radishes, and those I'll also store in a glass jar with a metal lid. I don't normally slice those until we go to use them, but they will stay fresh for a couple weeks in that glass jar. We try to keep all of our salad topping kinds of items all together in the refrigerator, and then it makes it really handy to make a salad or eat a snack. We taught our kids when they were growing up that they needed to eat a rainbow every day, and we try to keep that example going for them. The corn on the cob that I got, I am just going to snip off the silks at the very top and any of the extra husks that are flopping around, and those will also go into the refrigerator. They might not fit into the crisper drawer today, but I will get them into the refrigerator, and since they were freshly picked, these are going to stay fresh probably the entire month. I'll probably not use them until about the 3-week mark. And it is summertime, so lettuce is just humongous right now. Look how big this head of lettuce is. I just love getting romaine, and we wash this and put this in a glass container, and it will stay fresh the entire month. So right before we go to the produce stand or grocery shopping, I'm trying to use up any of those little bits of items. So last night for dinner, we had chef salad with chicken strips and some honey mustard dressing with that. Because I knew I wasn't washing items until today, I did go ahead last night and just trim the ends of the cilantro and parsley and put it in this one glass jar. It is still in the little bunches, so I can tell which one's which, but we're going to be washing all these items right after we get done filming this today. The cilantro and parsley will stay fresh for 6 weeks when you do it according to my instructions. I also got this beautiful head of cauliflower. Cauliflower is not something that I normally wash right when I bring it home, but I do make sure if it's wrapped in plastic, I get it out of the plastic right away, and then it can go into the refrigerator. So cauliflower is one of the items that I don't wash in the vinegar wash. I wash that one with a salt water rinse. And since we're talking about items that I don't wash exactly the same way, I want to talk about these green beans that I picked up. Whenever you're washing green beans or peas, you want to make sure that you only soak them for 1 minute. So normally I am telling you to soak items for 2 minutes and make sure that you set a timer. For these 2 items, make sure that it's only 1 minute, because once water gets into the shell, it won't dry out again. I did pick up some avocados. That is one for sure to make sure that you always get organic avocados. They last longer than conventionally grown avocados because they're not sprayed with ethylene. The same thing for bananas. Bananas and avocados will last longer if you buy organic ones. I made sure to pick up some nectarines. They look so tempting and I love them, especially over picking nectarines and peaches because I don't like the texture of the skins of peaches very much. So they are my go-to produce item to get in the summertime. We just filmed a video on stone fruits and how to get them to last for weeks, so make sure you're checking that video out. I did make sure that I picked up a bunch of peppers. I like that they are less expensive right now during harvest season all the way into September, and you can chop these up and freeze them really easily. And they were huge, like massive peppers. And so I was really excited to get these. I will keep them in the refrigerator for a little while, and then if I decide that I don't have enough room, I might chop or slice some of these up and put them in the freezer. And then I made sure to pick up a melon. This is a golden honeydew melon that I just thought was fun to try. So I like being able to have different kinds of melons, and they last a little bit longer. So the last time I went grocery shopping at the beginning of July, I got a watermelon, and that lasted for weeks here on my counter, and I just ended up cutting that a couple days ago. So we had fresh produce for the entire month, and that watermelon is going to stay fresh in my refrigerator for another week or so, so I won't be cutting this melon until that watermelon is gone. I did pick up some cherry tomatoes. These, after they're washed, I'm going to store in a glass jar with a metal lid, and they will stay fresh for a month without changing the texture. Now, my garden tomatoes are still green that are out in the garden. We still have a couple more weeks until we have red tomatoes here. But as I'm bringing in whole garden tomatoes, I'm going to wash those and put those on a plate on the countertop. So the small cherry or grape sized tomatoes are perfect for the refrigerator, but the larger garden sized ones, you want to make sure that you keep those on the counter. Mike was choosing the berries on this grocery shopping trip, so he picked some raspberries and blackberries. These were freshly picked yesterday morning, right as we were picking them up from the produce stand. So I want to make sure I get these washed, but they will last 2 to 3 weeks when you're washing them in the vinegar wash the way that I teach. And then we also got some blueberries, and there was a large container of blueberries. The blueberries will last 6 to 8 weeks, so we will be able to spread those out for a while. And we can't forget about the dill that I picked up that is as tall as me. So this is in a base of water, actually a half-gallon jar of water, to make sure that it stays alive. But I'm going to trim this so it's smaller and more manageable, and I'm just going to keep it on my countertop until I use it. But some of these green pieces I can also chop up and put in the freezer so we can use it all winter long. But I'm going to be using this dill to make the pickles and some of my other recipes. If you haven't seen our Zero Waste Produce Guide, this is our book that has 75 produce items, A to Z, really easy to flip around and know exactly what the instructions are to wash all of these produce items. These are linked in the description, and there's a discount code. But there's also over 700 videos here on my channel teaching you how to save money on groceries. This is my grocery planner where I keep track of everything, and if you've been watching these videos with all the grocery hauls, you know it's where I also keep track of how much money I've spent and how much is in my grocery budget. So this grocery haul was $89.12. So that means still in my grocery budget for this entire month of August is $180.88. We're just a family of 2, and my grocery budget is $270 for the month. I base that on a grocery budget of $135 per person, and that budget has worked for us whether or not it has just been the 2 of us here or all of our kids home when we had everybody here. And if you've been following along for all of these grocery hauls, you will know that my carryover from last month is $202.22. So that means right now in my grocery account, I have $383.10 total. So I will go and do a Costco or a grocery store shopping trip at some point in August, but that is how much I have to spend, and anything that's left over just stays in that grocery account so I can use it to buy bigger purchases of meat, or like during harvest season when I'm buying cases of things. So that is my grocery budget for the month and how much I spend on produce. We have a ton of videos here on the channel explaining that grocery budget and how that all works out. I just like to put it at the very end of the video so people that are keeping track and wanting to know how this accumulates over the months, how it works out for us. So I don't know where we're going to be in 30 days and where my September grocery haul will be, if it'll still be in this house or in a new house. So make sure that you are following along so you can see what's going on.